Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can also find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you have heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn.
And now, directly from the planet of Brooklyn.
One Agent _70 on Twitter,
What's up,
Instagram,
everybody?
Threads, and everything else.
Oh, I stepped all over that. That's right. We're running a little behind because we're gearing up for a bit of a transition in the way we do things around here. But guess what, folks? We're back live and direct.
Straight up Brooklyn in the house, representing.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way.
Yep. Indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, we are in a time of transition coming up real soon, but more about that later on in the show. And we probably talked about it in the past, so we will address that. It's nothing bad, just, but yeah, we'll address that at the end of the show. So, without further ado, I will say that this here podcast comes from I was about to say brought to you in part by the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
And you can also find us on your podcast brutal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed. Shout out to our man Von Gloom in the chat, who's graced us with his presence.
Yes, I'm actually still looking to go watch Sinners, but I appreciate the thought.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not really big on horror movies and vampire movies, even though I have watched a ton back in the day, and probably going to play South of Midnight, which is of a similar vein. Get it, vein. But yeah, I don't know. I want to support the thing because it sounds like it's pretty good. But yeah, Von Gloom says South Carolina in the house and Brooklyn in the house, the home of Electric Spider-Man. I wish we were. Look, if anybody want to give her screeners of movies, hey, I'm down for it.
Absolutely.
Sinners probably, unless they make a comic book adaptation or something out of it, that's probably slightly out of our wheelhouse. Or if they said they had adapted it from a thing, but it's not like we haven't done things outside of comic books before.
Right.
Hell,
right. And with it being kind of horror / vampire stuff, it kind of falls into the genre. So
right. I mean, we could just kind of fold it into Bitterroot if we really wouldn't want to, even though that's still, a little bit of a different compartment.
Right.
So, but hey, like I said,
I was about to say more like Philadelphia even.
Well, yeah, there is that too. Wait, I think they did say they were doing an adaptation of Philadelphia, though. So that's definitely probably going to be a thing if it actually comes off the ground.
Yeah.
So, boo, Von Gloom. It says, I mean, they suck, but not like Twilight. That's a different.
Oh no! Where is it?
Oh,
I mean, it kind of deserves that, but also there it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. And if I still had
Hey, boo!
there we go, I do have it. That worked out. But that being said, we're going to run along with the show since we're already running a little bit late by starting off with the 3 episode. That's right, 3 episodes. I don't know why I'm saying 3 episodes because they're all going to be 3 episodes of this. But the season 2 premiere of Star Wars Andor, which were 3 episodes, The first 3 episodes.
Yes, and surprisingly enough, the 3 episodes went by very quickly.
Yeah.
They were not as long as I thought they might be, and they also did not drag because there's a lot of stuff happening in the first, especially the first 2 episodes.
Mhm.
When it comes to the character whose name the eponymous character, right?
Mhm.
Which is Cassian Andor, right? When we're following him into, let's just say, the travails of less than organized rebellion.
Yes. So I'm just going to go say let Agent 17 say his part. But I have to get this off my chest real quick. 2 things. One, I did not hear anyone say anything about fomenting pockets of rebellion, although technically someone did. Somebody said it without saying the words.
Right.
But I wanted to hear those words from that dude, which we have not seen. So that is a slight spoiler for these 3 because, therein lies that. So I was kind of looking forward to hearing those words come out of somebody's mouth, if not that dude. Because actually, I don't think that dude's. I don't remember if that dude made it through the season. If he did, I don't remember. It's been a while. But that being said, I will say that the 3 episodes titles are: the first episode is called Casa, the second episode is called That Would Be Me, and the third episode is called Reckoning. Excuse me.
Wait, is it?
That's what it's saying here.
Season 2.
Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. No, that was season 1. That was season 1. I'm
sorry. Right, season 2, episode 1 is titled
it's
1 Year Later.
Yes, 1 year later. Peace out,
Year later. Episode 2 is titled Sagrona Tima, because that has some meaning to it. And episode 3 is titled Harvest.
Yes, my apologies for that. Yes. And every time I see
I was like, wait a second. I thought I had this noted myself, and I had to look that up because I was like, well, what's he talking about?
So I'm looking on IMDb, and I thought I had clicked the 2 season, and I had season 1 clicked.
Sure. I figured
like,
as
wait
much.
a minute, and I just kind of went with it. So that's my fault. But yeah, and every time well, not every time, but I see 1 year later, I just hear "Peace out, Premiere, take me out with the fader."
I hear the narrator in SpongeBob. So,
well, yeah, 5 minutes later. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like yeah, true. And yeah, Von Gloom says he's definitely behind on Andor. Don't worry about it. We're not going to spoil anything. This is how we do because, I mean, it's 3 episodes. They're all going to be 3 episodes from this whole season. I mean, every week. So it's a thing to buckle up on. Like, luckily, I thought about it. Excuse me. Like, we record on Thursday. The episodes come out on Tuesday. So technically, we could do like 1 a day.
Right.
In watching, if we wanted to go that right. But I actually ended up watching all of them late last night. And like Agent 70 said, they just flowed. There was nothing that really dragged. But then again, that's kind of how Andor is. Like, even last season, most of the stuff, I don't recall anything that really just dragged last, season, as far as no matter how sizable the episodes were, which granted they didn't, they didn't get that entirely big. But
right,
yeah, it's just like it's just there. You're watching because normally once you notice it starts dragging, you start looking at the time or other things on that. Others like now, Andor is just like, no, we're here, we're in it.
Right. No, but we do benefit from it coming out on a Tuesday. It gives us that, just as you said, gives us that little bit of extra time. We don't necessarily have to binge it all Tuesday night. We don't have to try to even binge it all Wednesday night. I spaced mine out because I kind of burned through the first 2, and then when I started episode 3, that's when I started to fall out, and it got a little bit too late to finish. So I just downloaded it to my phone so I could watch the rest of it, and I ended up watching the rest of it over lunch the next day. Right. So we do have time to fit in these 3 episodes, so that's it's workable.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, while Von Gloom doesn't mind spoilers, we're going to be very conscious of them because there's a couple of pretty interesting developments for the characters that have carried forward from season 1 into season 2, right? And I think the lightest of spoilers is that the Empire still sucks, and the Empire is very much we're several steps, but not very many steps away from seeing real life Empire stuff happening, around here, which is very frightening.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I think the character that is all of us is B2 emo, and I want to say, and I said this to Roddykat in our pre-production meeting, that without getting too political, the disorganized parts of the rebellion, it hits a little too close to home and reflects a little bit too much of our reality right now.
True. Yep. True. You're so silly, Bucknum. So yeah, like you just said, yeah, we there are other people that don't, even though you don't care, Von Gloom, there are other people that don't, and we don't want to spoil it because it's essential and it's worth watching, and not be spoiled on. Although another light spoiler I will add is that if you ever wanted to see Mon Mothma get a groove on, yeah, the last episode will be a treat for you, because especially if you know the character from the original prequels. It's like that's and Rebels, actually, you can put that in there, but it's like, this is a side you don't get to see of that character ever.
Right.
So, but no, they don't reveal that the Empire is a coven of vampires, because that probably would have been closer to some Clone War stuff with Dathomir. Although they could probably do it in Ahsoka when that happens, so who's to say? But all I'm going to say is that, as we've found out, as we know, with the show, the 3 episodes make up an arc. And like I said, that's going to be the running thing throughout this whole 12 episodes of this season. So no, not full frontal. That'd be amazing, but no. No full frontal also. But we see Cassian on the mission. That's no real spoilers there. And we see him kind of going through the motions of that mission, and we also catch up with his some of his cohorts from the first season, where they get down into and what they have to deal with, which is also something, real world politics leaning.
Yep.
In that, so it's like, which, I mean, it doesn't take much to say they're paying attention to stuff, but also, like, hey, look, Dick Wolf's been doing this for years on years with the rip from the headline stuff, so it's not like, whether this was already on paper with whoever wrote it when they started filming this, or they kind of rewrote and reshot some stuff, it's all been there for the last, I'm just going to say 10 years at this point with stuff. Even though a lot of it's kind of more recent, and heavier. So, like I said, that is the lightest non-spoilerish way to kind of talk about the show, outside of, the missing phrase that I would have loved to have heard coming out of it. But hey, there's still time. We still got 9 more episodes. Maybe Dude will show up. Maybe somebody else will actually say the words. Also, on the Empire side, there is not necessarily a relationship explored, but we do see a couple of people that apparently, which I guess makes sense coming out of last season, given how those two kind of engaged with each other and whatnot. we see a character that I wasn't too particularly fond of, and still not too fond of. You know, we see what's going on with them and their relation in relation to the people that the one specific person, excuse me, that they have dealt with, was dealing with during season 1, and someone else that is new to the fold that has seemed to has a grasp on the situation with these two people, while hiding something themselves about what they're doing. But I suspect that they may change throughout the course of the thing. So, good times by all in Andor.
Right, and our least favorite mama's boy continues to.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah,
suck.
Yes. Yeah, that was the specific talk I was dancing around. So, yeah, the show's still good. That's all you can say. I saw something before Tuesday saying that it was already the highest grossing or highest rated show or whatever. I'm like, the show hadn't even hit. Like, this was like Tuesday afternoon before the show technically, aired for everybody else. So, I mean, I don't know what that was about. That's why I didn't even put it in the notes. Put it in the show notes or anything, because I was like, okay, whatever. But nevertheless, they're still hitting on the cylinders you expect them to with the show, and I don't expect anything to change from that. I could. We don't know. Especially with the whole, hey, we're just combining the next supposedly three seasons into this one. Like, clearly they had to cut some things, a lot of things in that respect, and that might show up some kind of way. But so far,
right, it's a minor spoiler, but my understanding is that each gap between the 3 episodes is basically a year in real time.
Right.
So if this episode 1 year after season 1 starts in 4 BBY, do the math.
Right. And it's not even a spoiler, because they said, yeah, this is going to end up right at the doorstep of Rogue One when it's all said and done.
Right.
So they've come out and said that on a few different places. So at the end of this, yeah, it's going to run right into Rogue One, just like Rogue One ran into, supposedly, tried to run into New Hope, presumably in a similar fashion. We don't know how close though. Like, I would assume he's going to be of like, hey, Casson, we got this one last mission for you to do or something, and then that just gets into the Rogue One stuff, which I guess that'll be the interesting thing, because it's like, okay, would you just be able to roll right into Rogue One at the end of this? Presumably, yes. Oh, but we shall see if that's the case. Was that
all right? I said I would think so. All right.
Yeah. All right.
President Bullet.
What's next?
Books. Wait, it's a Rogue One prequel? I thought it was after. No, sir. You might want to go back and rewatch Rogue One, because there's the only thing after Rogue One is the original. It's the original trilogy.
Right, because some people don't make it out of Rogue One.
And I'd say mostly none of them don't make it out of Rogue One. Spoiler alert for almost damn near 10-year-old. I guess it is almost 10-year-old movie at this point. Actually, I don't know.
Has it been 10 years?
I don't know. It's been a long time. Shit, I couldn't tell you. Now I'm gonna go look.
God,
I'm too old for this shit.
2016, actually. So it is almost 10 years.
Oh my God,
I'm too old for this shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Wait, jeez.
Good night, everybody.
Oh my God.
So yeah, if I don't know how far. So wait, so you say I need to rewatch it? Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe possibly go ahead and run through Andor, and then watch it. It'll probably bring a couple of new rewatches, and because it'll probably bring a new perspective on a couple of things in Rogue One if it does its job right.
Right, it'll probably add to the experience.
Right.
That's what the whole.
Right, so rewatching it now, you're basically reading the book from the end, which technically, I mean, this is what we had. So, But either way, folks, we are going to go into the books of the week, starting off with G.I. Joe #6.
G.I. Joe #6.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe #6 is published by Image. It's written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Tom Riley, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by Russ Wooton. This is one of those occasions where what you see on the cover actually happens in the issue, kind of.
Pretty much,
right?
Yeah.
There is no battle in front of flaming backdrop, but it's close. There is a hand-to-hand battle between Cobra Commander and Duke, and a lot of stuff happens in this issue to propel the story forward and to propel the overall conflict, because this is, I guess, the last issue in this opening arc where G.I. Joe and Cobra have been doing a little bit of feeling each other out, as it were, as if it was like the early rounds of a boxing match. And it's not eminently clear to either side who they are up against. More so, Cobra knew what they were up against, but G.I. Joe did not. But now everything is very much on the table for both sides to see and to see how it plays out. So that's like a pretty broad stroke overview of this issue. What do you have to say, Roddy?
Well, first, I agree with Von Gloom, who says that they were glad that a Cobra Commander is such a formidable opponent. Yes, because this is definitely not the Cobra Commander from the cartoon series, and they made great strides into making sure that was not the case with what they've done with the Cobra Commander series, and coming into this. It was cool that that he and Duke finally met, because if you recall, Duke met Destro, and I guess Destro clearly must have told Cobra Commander about Duke, and which was referenced in this issue. But I enjoyed this issue a lot because of that. So it was like the first meeting of these two groups, and yeah, pretty much what Agent 70 said is pretty much true, except for the fact that while yes, that is true, both sides now know what the other side's capable of. One side still has the upper hand for the time being because of technological advances, and apparently, Cobra Commander's got an upgrade from the cartoon also because of tech that he has on his person. So yeah, I enjoy like what they've done with it, and it's all based in because it's the Energon universe, and if you know what that's about, it's all based in that, and that is more apparently coming into play and being folded more into is in what's happened, or what gets brought up in this issue and what happens at the end of this issue finally, because we saw at the beginning of Transformers, the book, Duke kind of being referenced, sort of kind of being referenced then, but actually, referencing his book. But then we see the, it play out from his interactions with the Cybertronians, in that book, of which they still don't have in this book. But let's just say that, like I said, the whole shared universe thing is stirring up. Stirring that pot's being stirred up at going forward. Yeah, Von Gloom says I wasn't expecting Redacted to be at the end and don't remember him appearing in any of the books. Yep, that's because he hasn't. And
right.
Yeah. Because you know what? When I got to the panel when he shows up, and they set it up quite nicely, because you're thinking
it's a fake out, because right there it zooms in on one panel but then zooms out to another reveal.
Right, like you see the being right there, and either you're thinking about it or you're not thinking about it, and then you see the next couple of panels and page play out. And it's like, huh, okay.
Mm.
Especially the way they played the one panel with a particular effects. So it was pretty well done. See, Von Gloom says it's a pity about rock and roll because it would have been cool to see rock and roll with Shredhead. Yeah. And somebody had to be the sacrificial lamb, and it just so happened to be him and Bumblebee. We see Cobra agents interact with Star Trek. Yes, but I meant but outside of Duke, as far as the Joes are concerned, is what I'm talking about. And because Cobra Commander has this is slight spoiler alert for folks. Cobra Commander has interacted with Megatron, so that has happened. Duke technically has interacted with Starscream and the other Seekers, and then of course those other Cobra agents. So out of the G.I. Joe Cobra faction, well, and what's going on? In Void Rival with Python out in space, but she hasn't interacted with any of them yet, but that's probably coming. So, like I said, out of everybody who has had interactions with the Cybertronians at this point, those are the direct ones. And I don't think we've even seen those Cobra agents since that happened. I think because he dealt with all of them. That was the end result of that. But regardless, the other things in this book, with the like I said, Cobra Commander being quite effective, almost kind of ruthless. Well, not even almost ruthless, but definitely being ruthless. The whole thing with Destro, trying to chase down the Joes, and the Baron is being called out was kind of funny. And Duke actually trying to, seeing his team for his team now. The only thing that is missing at this point, and I'm assuming they're going to get into it at some point, is that other team that Hawk set up that Duke doesn't know about.
Well, we could use a few ninjas.
That also, and yeah, the whole Scarlet thing and Scarlet and Jinx thing, and that other missing,
and cough, right?
Yes, yeah, the other missing popular Joe, it is still lingering out there somewhere. So, Von Gloom says, true, and the Autobots are in a real crappy PTSD state thanks to the Combiners, Cybertron. And yeah, see, I don't even know how much of what was going on in the Transformers that they actually know about. Like, we've seen shades of it, right, but we don't know if everything that happened in Seattle, in the Transformers, we don't know if that's caught up to the Joes yet. All we know is that Duke's got a vendetta because of what happened to him. What we found out what happened to him was Starscream and them, and which was the reason why the team was formed. So, wonder if they'll follow the Marvel G.I. Joe and Transformers books and have the G.I. Joe team involved in the Autobots repair. I doubt it. Because at this point, like, it's Cybertronian, it's them versus the Cybertronians, as far as we know now. If something would have to change in that, or maybe the next couple of issues will change that because of who shows up. I doubt that kind of seriously at this point because of, like I said, Duke's kind of on a mission, and that one is not of helping the Autobots at this point.
Right. So until they learn to discern who is who.
Correct. And we don't know how long that's going to take.
Right.
That being said, though, we're going to push on to the next book. Like I said, everything is still great. I would almost say this is a potential click of the week. I did not put it in my notes, but it was good, I thought. So, but yeah, Drew has been good. So it's not really saying nothing out of pocket. The next book that we are going to talk about, and that shouldn't even be there, is, oh, are you kidding? Where did see, this is the exact thing I was talking about. While Agent 70 talks about it. I'm going to look up the cover for Gatchaman, Ryu, Scavengers #1.
Gatchaman Ryu Scavengers #1 is published by Mad Cave. It's written by Steve Orlando, with art by Ricardo Rubaldo, colors by Rebecca Nalty, and letters by Frank Cvetkovic. So this is the third solo, kind of solo feature for members of the Gatchaman team. You got to get into Go Bird because that is definitely something that I had to be reminded of. I need to watch more of the actual original OG Japanese Gatchaman to be reminded of Go Bird. But we have Ryu here, G5, with a solo story highlighting that he is quite literally, this is the theme of the story, it's not a real spoiler here, that he is more than just a pilot and more than just the pilot of the God Phoenix. And it involves kind of pirates, kind of kaiju, kind of combiner kaiju. It's a pretty wild story, but the point of the story, and it's done pretty well, is to highlight Ryu and show that he is more than just the pilot.
Yes. And again, like, as we've said about these one shots and whatnot, you get to see the side of the team that we never really saw, or that I don't recall seeing too much of during the course of the shows.
Of course,
you see them on missions. That you see them interacting with each other, but it's all just the one notes. Hey, they are he's the pilot. Ken's the leader, or June and Junpei squawks, whatever the case may be, or it's Kliqs and depending on what version of that you
exactly. And Seven Zark 7 is not in this version, folks.
Thank God. Yes, so them fleshing out the team, and this one, which I guess I shouldn't be surprised that this came out, because the only ones we knew of at the beginning of this whole Gatchaman cycle was the one for Ken and the one for June.
Right.
So the fact that there seems to be making the rounds with the rest of the team, I guess.
Right, and Joe's got. I was about to say Joe's got the story that's bound to wrap into the regular series, and with Ken as kind of like the co-star of that series.
I think he's still going to get a separate one shot though. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. I don't know. I should look at the back of this issue to see if they have it slated already or not. But I suspect, because if that's the case, because did Junpei? Yeah, Junpei had his already with that one pirate story, right?
He's the one that's been left out.
Or was that just an issue of that? Might have been just the issue of the regular book. So,
right. Yeah, when they were on the treasure hunt.
Right. So
that's the regular book. He has not yet had a solo story,
but he's probably going to.
We've had because we started with the Ken, and then we did Jun, and then we got the Joe and the Ken duo book, basically their team up book, and now we've got the Ryu book.
Right. So like I said, I suspect we're just gonna go run through the whole team like that. Which, you know what? Sure, why not? That would have been. That would have been. I wouldn't say it was an oversight, but that's probably close to what I could say. If they did like here's Ken because he's the leader, and here's June because she's June, and not do everybody else and give everybody else a one shot or a miniseries, or I guess say. Because technically, I guess the one with Joe, while being a miniseries, they could use that for his, but I think there's some part of me believes that they're just going to give him another one shot and make that like, hey, here's just another team side story, which would kind of sort of make sense, I guess. But you know, it is what it is. Yeah, they don't have any. They don't have anything in the back of that this issue for anything. So I have to wait till the next Gatchaman issue proper to see if
yeah,
they
they're
have.
probably I was about to say they're probably working on that because if I recall correctly, you know, I'm just going off of my memory here that little schedule in the back
Right.
has been pretty good so far. They're keeping pretty much with that, and any future one shots may be further into the future.
Right. If the because from the last I remember seeing of that, yeah, we definitely saw the miniseries and whatnot. So yeah, you know, we'll as it comes, we will definitely show. Von Gloom says someone called Summers Iran. We got more buggy space pirates. Yeah. Always with the space pirates. No Hondo Anaka, sadly.
Oh.
But that said, we are going to push on with the next book that we have in common, which is Amazing Spider-Man #2.
Amazing Spider-Man #2 is written by Joe Kelly with art by Pepe Larraz, colors by Marte Gracia, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So this is kind of an interesting issue because it finds Spider-Man dealing with not the most direct of foes, right? He's dealing with some things that aren't necessarily there, but it's not Mysterio, right? That gives you a little bit of a hint as to what kind of things he might be dealing with. And at the end of the issue, I personally needed the first note in the letters column to tell me what just happened. Because a character appears and I'm like, wait a second. Who?
Right.
Right? That's literally my my reaction, and I very much appreciated the note in the first paragraph, the first note in the letter section, helping to explain what just happened on the final splash page, cliffhanger / teaser of the book.
Right. So apparently,
did you recognize who that was?
No, I did not. In fact, I was going to look up that character like I just did just now. So apparently, this is.
You didn't see that letters page bit?
No, I didn't. I didn't look at the letters page. So yeah, apparently this is a Joe Kelly who's writing the book's creation, and Ed McGuinness. And first came about, and this for other people because also Von Gloom is making a note or taking a.
Yeah, thanks for chiming in because I didn't realize that right away either.
Right. Yeah. So it comes from, which I guess makes sense. Spider-Man Deadpool #8 from August 2016 is where that character comes from, or was first created. Excuse me. So, because I'm sitting here like, what the hell? Because I was thinking maybe it was one of those Web of Spider-Verse characters that because neither one of us been reading those last ones that came out recently. So, but there it is. As Von Gloom says, she's a partial clone of Spider-Man and Deadpool, and appeared in like I said, the Spider-Man Deadpool series. So that's a hell of a pairing. Also, it makes sense what the character said on that last page. So I'm sitting here like, huh? What?
Right.
According to Von Gloom, Peter was all aggro, wanted to kill her, and Wade was just trying to defuse the situation and calm Peter down. I find that hard to believe, but I'll take your word for it.
Right. Because you're going to transpose what you think is going to happen between those two characters to, create drama. I get that.
Exactly.
I get that. But I would recommend to Roddykat and to any readers out there who have their hands on a copy of this to go straight to the first paragraph in the letters page, and it will help explain what the hell just happened.
Sure. I mean, either way, like I said, it's I got the insight that I wanted at the point. So But yeah, if that's going to shed some more light on it, I guess I can. I guess I can deal with it because it's not
I
like
mean,
the
it's the
character's
same.
going
You know, like you
nowhere.
just got the information by googling it, and looking it up. But the point is, I didn't. I didn't do that. That wasn't my first reaction. I just kind of kept flipping, and I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you for that explanation."
Right. Which that is, but that does bring up a point in that yes, sometimes they're good enough to do that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
Yeah.
they don't, and it's like, and you actually do have to go and Google it or whatever the case may be if you don't have the knowledge with you or have a Von
Right.
Gloom in chat.
Right.
So either way, it was good. But yeah, I just didn't partake of the Lowe's page this time for some odd reason. So that being said, though, yeah, I mean, I to coin Cypress Hill, he's having illusions, causing contusions, messing
Oh
it up in
no,
his mind.
it's driving him mad inside.
Exactly. So yeah, Peter was kind of going through it as he was going through his day, and apparently Norman Osborn still has sway enough to get him off work somehow. So go figure on that one. But yeah, that was Amazing Spidey #2. And the only other thing I can say in passing, even when he's losing his mind in a nightmare, Pete's still a big old nerd. Judging by what was said in the first page of the book, or in the beginning of the book, so which I found kind of amusing. Oh, and there's a couple of Mario references in there. It was like I guess they heard the Nintendo Switch pre-orders were coming out or something. I don't know, but also product placement, not necessarily product placement, but it's like there were references to a real world brand name of a car. Also, but in this, and the reason why this book doesn't get, I'm glad I put this in my notes. The reason why this book will definitely not get a potential click of the week is because Joe Kelly used the word rizzing.
I probably glossed over it.
I did not, and I was like, oh, Jesus. But oh yeah, there was one nice thing. So because I keep looking at my notes, but Peter, there's a little bit of quote unquote additional backstory that we get on Peter when he was younger and in dealing with this new character, Brian Ne'er-do-well. This is what I'm going to call him. I know that's not his name. As he and Pete had gotten into some shenanigans back in the day, which is reminding me of when we got Hydra Cap for some strange reason. Because if you remember around that time, Cap was kind of having flashbacks of his younger days that were kind of skewed to what, before we found out about Hydra Cap. And this is kind of put me in that same vein. I'm not saying it's going to come out the same way. I'm just saying it's just kind of reminding me of that though. So if we get Hydra Spidey out of this, you'll know why.
Oh Lord.
Which, yeah, exactly. That is the right answer. That being said, unless Agent 70's got something else.
Nope, I'm good.
The next book that we have that we're going to talk about is, and actually this is the last book that we have in common. I should have had the sound effect up right here. Justice League Unlimited #6.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Sure, that works. Perfectly works, actually.
Justice League Unlimited #6, published by DC, is written by Mark Waid. The plot was actually conceived of by Mark Waid and Christopher Cantwell. The art is by Travis Moore, colors are by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters are by Dave Sharp. So, Justice League Unlimited #6 basically fills in all the gaps of how we got here, gives us all the backstory as to how a traitor could be planted in the Justice League in the midst of this big reorganization and big kind of, creation of, what could be the biggest, and most formidable version of the Justice League ever. And they use a pretty kind of tried and true trope to form a version of the Legion of Doom led by or organized by a character who is boosted by let's say a lost and wandering power from the absolute whatchamacallit, the absolute power story.
Right. One that another Justice Leaguer has been kind of in his feelings about, that we that they haven't gotten back to that part yet.
Exactly.
Or
You know,
probably
these are powers that are lost, not yet found.
Right. Or not yet known to be found.
Somebody else, right?
Right. Yeah. So that being said, this was a potential click of the week because of like, okay, that's an interesting way for them to do all this. Like I don't think I didn't, I know enough about absolute power because of everything that's happened since then from stuff like this,
like the Atom Project and all that stuff.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, the gist of it is, hey, guess what, folks, Waller had some amazing bots that stole folks' power and ended up giving them some, or they found those way to other people, and then shenanigans are still going on from that whole situation. And therein how we see this and everything Agent 70 just said, and we get back to basically the Super Friends version of the Legion of Doom, complete with swampy dome headquarters, but I don't think it was in the swamp. Now that I think about it, it might have been,
right.
But still, it was great to see that, and Wade's kind of touching on a particular touching on a thing that's kind of near and dear to some of our hearts, if you're of a certain vintage,
right?
As Agent 70 would say.
Right. I mean, look, if there's one thing that I kind of got a kick out of was seeing Grodd using a particular set of powers to enhance himself and make himself Gaslighter #1.
Basically, yes. And speaking of said traitor, we see, we see what happens to him. Although, given what happens at the end, I suspect that might not have been the end of that character. Although it did kind of look slightly different than what happened to some other characters who came in the fold at the end of the issue. But so whether that character is actually gone or they all been swept to the same place. Should the same place be a thing?
I was about to say, given that character's power set, it's unlikely.
That also. But I mean, I don't know. We'll just see. Yeah. But yeah, because that's probably going to be how folks get out of the situation at once it's said and done. But nevertheless, like I said, potential click of the week. This was some good stuff. Made me want to go back and watch that era of Super Friends when the Legion of Doom, was up against the Super Friends. So was it Challenge of the Super Friends? Was it that era?
I think so, but listen, I always confuse all that stuff because I never looked into clarifying my information on that because my memories of that are so just, so warm and fuzzy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It definitely wasn't first couple of seasons, but it might have been Challenge because I think Galactic Storm or whatever it was like when Cyborg and Firestar came into play. So, but I don't remember. Regardless, it's back there, folks. And Wade's kind of drawing on that to wait for this We Are Yesterday story. This is apparently part 2 of, I'm not sure how many, but I know chapter 3 is coming. But great stuff. Yes.
Right, it's a crossover between this and World's Finest, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Which is the next book that's going to take up in.
All right, I'm going to have to take a look at that. I didn't realize that this was going to be a crossover. I think I did see that. I just neglected to see what the other crossover book was.
Also, Wade's writing that, so it also makes sense. So, and you get some good. I think Dan Moore is still art on that one. So yeah, good stuff. Either way, that, folks, is it for the books that we have in common. Rapid fire.
I was going to say Travis Moore does a pretty good job on this book.
Yes.
With the art. So, team books are obviously notorious for being very taxing for artists. So, he does a very good job on this book. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so are we going into rapid fire?
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire review time, folks.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Took my
Delay
finger
that
off the
order.
train. What happened?
I skipped over 2 total books that we have in common.
Okay.
That's my fault, folks. And I have it right here on my timeline, and I didn't even look at it. So, we still have 2 more books. My fault, folks, and I'm not editing that. Because, especially coming out of that I had to set up for a certain situation. One World Under Doom, number 3 of 9, is a book that we have in common.
All right, One World Under Doom, number 3 of 9 is written by Ryan North with art by R.B. Silva, colors by David Curiel, and letters by V.C. Travis Lanham. So Roddykat and I did have a chance to discuss this particular book in our pre-production meeting, and there's one thing that that came up, and that is the way this Avengers team is currently constituted, right? They don't necessarily have, the best and most reasonable people in charge, and they're missing at least one person who would be more of a voice of reason. But at the end of the day, they put a plan together that does make, logical sense, and they're able to execute it, believe it or not, with the help of some of the worst villains out there who they convinced to join them on this particular mission, because nobody wants to be in a world under Doom, right? Being ruled by Victor Von Doom. These are, some of the, maybe not the worst of the worst, but pretty close. And what we get in this issue is realization, and this is the part that hits a little too close to home, is that there's no mind control involved. There's no magical spell involved. Doom is in charge because people want it. He does give them a way. He does give them reasons to, allow him to be in charge. But at the end of the day, people want it. And it just hits a little too close to home and it mirrors and parallels a little bit too much of what we're dealing with right now in the real world. So, but I'll pass it on to Roddykat for his views.
Oops, this was not the right cover that I was looking for. There we go. Yeah. I mean, you pretty much said the gist of it. There's really not much else to say about it. It was kind of funny, though, because, and I guess we'll get to this. We'll definitely get to this book next, because the reading order would be this book and then the next book that we're going to talk about. But you kind of don't necessarily. You would probably want to read this before the next book, but there's part of me thinks that you kind of don't have to also, because of what happens in the next book.
Because I read them out of order.
Right. So I just happened to, it was the way we're talking about it just so happens to be the way that I read it, just on principle, for some reason. But the other things that go on in this book is that there's some particularly mouthing off by one non-powered supervillain to the strongest, one of the basically the strongest member of the Avengers. And I was like, dude's got brass. Give it to him for that, because that could have been over real quick. If let be. But it was kind of amusing how that all plays out. And also, in kind of MCU fashion, we have a being that doesn't come to bargain at the end of this.
Right.
But, and also we get a tie into recent events of FF, which we knew were going to come back in a way. We just did not necessarily know whether it was going to be in this book, which it would make sense that it did, and so it did. than any other book, I guess, because you could say that, hey, they could have left it in the FF book, and let that be that. But it seemed right for it to come out in this book, and therefore be something to kind of pin what happens in this issue on.
Mm-hmm.
So good stuff. But that being said, yeah, and Agent 70 mentioned the real world thing about this, which is troubling, but sad state of affairs all the way around. We're going to go into the actual last book that we have in common, which is one World of the Doom tie-in, Avengers number 25.
Avengers number 25 is written by Jed MacKay with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. Interestingly, just as Roddykat mentioned, there is a bit of a tie-in here, and one member of the current Avengers roster is knocked out of the fight and sent off to recuperate, and it kind of parallels some of the commentary that we've had about this particular character, and unfortunately also parallels this character's recent movie role, recent turn in the movies, and kind of lays out, why this character is more than just the sum of what he can do, right? And that's what I guess this story is also going to try to do, which is try to make him, a little bit more of a John McClane type character. A little bit of a diehard, it's this character against a whole bunch of bad guys. It's Die Hard on the Impossible City?
Yes, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's Die Hard on the Impossible City.
The difference being is that, well, Sam has help on the M side. I'll just go ahead and say it's Captain America. Sam Wilson gets benched because of the Avengers fight with Doom, which leads into the story with the Masters of Evil trying to take over the Impossible City.
Mm-hmm.
And also something which I thought was a nice little stroke, bringing back something from a good 15 issues ago, damn near, that gets brought back into play from Jed MacKay, which he does that sometimes, which is some good stuff. But like I was going to say, unlike John McClane in Die Hard, he has help on the inside. And also, I don't think this is going to be a new Marvel Figures, but he does get a new suit out of it to kind of help him along, which kind of changes the balance a little bit. He's still one against, well, technically two, but one against 5 or 6 other Jokers, which, as I say in my notes, this version of Masters of Evil feels scraped together.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is not an semblance of villains I would never think I would never think to put together. One of which being, spoiler alert, Madcap, which didn't know was still around, but I guess he had no reason to believe otherwise. Also finding out that he had a healing factor in this, because I did not know that either.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like, so all of that said, this is a potential click of the week for me because of the way it played out. I honestly thought they were gonna go another route in a way, because if you are enough of an Avengers fan, you remember the last time, or the one significant time, the Masters of Evil took over the Avengers spot, and what happened to a couple of people, whether Avengers or Avengers related, happened to them during that time. And I thought it was going towards that way with the way this was playing out. But apparently, no, not really, or at least not yet. Hopefully that's not the case. But if something similar does happen, I'm be upset at just as much. But hey, you saw it coming, if that is the case. There is a reference to Cap's 60s theme song, which was kind of funny and just
Right.
a funny little throwaway. And also, apparently, we found out which Avengers the Impossible City likes, and I don't know if that is endearing or pandering. Pandering is a strong word, but I was like, really interesting. Okay. But also kind of makes sense now that I think about it. Given the entrance that the Impossible City had. So it could very well be just overthinking that too a little bit too much. But yeah, that was Avengers 25. Next issue we'll find out, I guess, how it plays out, and or find out what the whereabouts of a missing Avenger. Or a mission that was an Avenger that wasn't around for this particular thing for reasons.
Right.
So, now we will be going into rapid fire.
All righty. Finger back on the trigger, folks.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Rapid fire review time. Starting off with Absolute Wonder Woman #7, published by DC. It's written by Kelly Thompson, with art by Mattia DeUlis, and letters by Becca Carey. This is a great, basically second issue to this. I think it's a 2-story arc where, actually, is it a combination? No, it might be just a standalone, because I think the first 6 issues consisted of the first, kind of major arc for this book. And I think that this book, no, I apologize. No, this is part 2 of 2. The story titled "The Lady or the Tiger." I was correct the first time. And so the first major story of Absolute Wonder Woman spanned the first 5 issues, and now there is this kind of 2-story interlude that helps to explain a lot of the backstory involved between the characters who are supporting characters for this version of Diana Prince and Wonder Woman. This is a phenomenally well-written book. This is actually one of the best and most consistent Absolute DC books, and this is definitely a candidate for Click of the Week for me.
Cool.
Next up is Batman #159, published by DC. It's written by Jeff Loeb, with pencils by Jim Lee. So yes, this is Hush 2. With inks by Scott Williams, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters by Richard Starkings. So the mystery of what Hush is up to continues in this issue. We have the introduction of the Red Hood into the mix, and what and kind of coming to loggerheads with Batman when it comes to dealing with a character who both of those characters have mutual distaste for, but the characters are only willing to go so far, and obviously which directions the respective characters would want to go to, given how they kind of treat their enemies, right? The Red Hood being kind of infamous for being a little non-Batman like when it comes to that stuff. So next up is, we're running through a bunch of the books we had in common. Last for me is X-Men #15. It's written by Jed McKay, with pencils by Ryan Stegman and CF Villa, inks by Ryan Stegman, JP Mayer, Live Say, and CF Villa, colors by Eric Arciniega, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So the 3K group that is taking on Scott Summers' X-Men group in Alaska is basically making their big move. And one of their big moves is revealed at the end of this issue on the cliffhanger splash page, to to tease what is going to happen, or at least what's being introduced, and to tease what the possible conflict would be in the next issue. So it's interesting. You have to remind yourself what's been going on with in the pages of X-Men 15, specifically with this 3K group who are changing up the idea and what we all know about mutations and when they start and when they generally start to exhibit themselves and take effect in people as they grow older. Things, at least according to this particular version of the X-Men story, are changing. And this group is behind it. And 3K, could prove to be formidable. And it's definitely, well, I guess the semi-spoilery way for me to describe it is that the main villain from Deadpool and Wolverine the movie is in this book. And with that, I will pass it on to Roddykat.
Alrighty then. First up for me, excuse me, we got a little bit of G.I. Joe, a real American hero, Roadblock, #1, which would be ripe for...
It's back.
There we go. That's the right one. That other aspect will probably come in later. I don't know. But this is another one of those silent mission issues. So it is written and art by Andrew Cronky, with colors by Francesco Segala. So yeah, we got Roadblock in the snow of all places on a rescue mission for, I'm going to say, another person that would probably know that you would probably know from the team. At first, I wasn't sure who this person was, although possibly the hair could have been a giveaway, but it could have very well been someone different. Obviously there's no words, so that they don't really go in that. But we get this one-man mission to rescue what I assume to be a teammate. And as I say in my notes, Roadblock's tools of the trade come out. If you are watching the video version, you can see the cover of the book, which is one of them. But also there is another set of tools of the trade that he employs near the end of this book, if you know anything about the character. So good stuff. Next up is Star Trek #31, which is the continuation of the Lore War crossover. There we go. Which is also, as I've said before, could be Age of Lore, of one world under lore. You can make both of those assertions. But it's written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, art by David Tinto, colors by Lee Luffridge, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So at the beginning of the book, we catch back up with Dicini in this new lore governed the galaxy, and we see her talking to someone, of which we find out who that is at the end of the book. And if you have been paying attention to this book for any length of time, you may or may not know who she's talking about, or you might catch up on the clues, one of the two. But she's one of my favorite characters, so I love her. Meanwhile, we get Benjamin, Beverly, and Kalis on the run in a stolen museum piece, but they get quickly caught up with by another character who is usually in the other Star Trek book, But again, this is under the galaxy ruled by lore. So their position has changed then, and a couple of other folks from the Star Trek books, his positions have changed. But that quickly ends up changing as well as I don't want to call this a MacGuffin because I don't know if that's the right word, but let's just say there's a weapon that is used to not necessarily dispatch folks, but to make them see clearly that is in play. And of course, so you can see the Age of Ultron and whatnot. Not Age of Ultron, Age of I guess Age of Apocalypse would be the more thing. But although I don't know if this went the same way. But regardless, there's something used that kind of wakes folks up out of what's going on here. And some fights happen. A character from Voyager kind of gets a thing happen to them, which is kind of funny because something always happens to that character, but this seems a little more that this character can't catch a break, I guess you could say. But we, again, like I said, we just kind of catch up and see some people doing various things in this universe ruled by lore, and still continuing to be some pretty good stuff. I assume next issue we're going to find out how a character ended up in the predicament that they are in, or whatever the next issue would probably be Star Trek Defiant, regardless. But that is that. Next up, we have New Champions number 4 from our next book. Another potential click of the week, actually. And I never thought I'd say that about this book. But I think we have actually said that before. So, go freaking figure, folks. But let's see, what we have here are the script. Was written by Steve Fox, art by Ivan Fiorelli, color artist Arthur Hesley, and letters by VC's Joe Lanham. After seeing what seems to be a nice West Coast Avengers hoodie, we basically end up getting the backstory / origin story of one of the new characters. This one being Gold Tiger, the Wakandan born kid who has who's befriended the new champions based on the way they come in. I thought it was an interesting origin story for this one. Not so too terribly surprising, I guess, in a way, but still, it was interestingly done. There's references to the recent Captain America book in here, and where basically the team is heading off to next because of everything I just said, I guess, in that. So, good stuff. Next up is Black Panther number 15, written by Brian Hill, art by Stefano Caselli, color artist David Curiel, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. Excuse me. So T'Challa and Storm have a chat about some stolen version of vibranium with a neighboring country's security office, and some stuff goes on with that. Somebody was about to get a lightning bolt to the behind because of the way they were talking. There is definitely a potential.
If you have an interest in...
Oh, my bad.
As we hear a little bit of Von Gloom. Or at least that sounds like Von Gloom.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we got shout out to our man Von Gloom, who does videos on YouTube. Go check him out sometime. But yeah, what was I going to say? So yeah, after this talk and some shenanigans that T'Challa and Storm get into, they end up helping out somebody who had a thing of their own to deal with because of some stuff that was going on here. I know I'm being very, very vague, but that's okay. But at the end of this, it seems that someone found a Star Trek portal of note, or what looks to be a Star Trek portal of note at the end of this issue, and T'Challa and crew don't know about it yet, but I guess they're going to find out next issue. So, last up for me, Von Gloom says, it is me, threw me off. Yeah, weird hearing your own voice, huh? Almost threw my coffee in the garbage. Don't do that.
There you go. There you go.
Don't do that. But the last book for me is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, number 5 of 5, folks. Yes, the show is over, but now this book is, which is the prequel to that show. Written by Christos Gage, art by Eric Gapster, color artist Jim Campbell, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So yeah, basically the whole storyline with Silvermane and the why do they want to call them the Marauders? Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting a little punchy with my mouse clicking.
Don't feel bad. I mean, if you're clicking on YouTube stuff and expecting it not to autoplay, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, because that's been happening to me too. But basically, this whole storyline with Silvermane and crew gets wrapped up. But even after that's done, we basically seemingly fold back into the show in an interestingly weird way. And I say that because it seems to fold back at a specific part of the beginning season of the show, and the issue ends almost not necessarily directly, but in a similar manner to the end of the season with what happens. Also, we found out that Pizza Rat and also Hank Pym, those two are not, together, but in some reasons you might say they are. Anyway, are both exist in this world, which Hank Pym, not surprising, Pizza Rat, hey, I guess has survived. He has iterations of himself, of itself floating around there out in the multiverse. So there you go. This issue seems to suggest, and it could be just me inferring this, but it seems to suggest that Uncle Ben in this universe might have died a different way because of something that happens in the beginning, because Peter's in a predicament at the start of this issue, but he gets himself out of it, surprisingly without breaking his arm. But we'll see what's it is the case. But like I said, it ends up folding back into the show properly, and it goes on from there, I guess. And that, folks, is it for me for my books. Kliqs of the week. But before I say that, well, the Marauders make sense since they have cyborg villains. Yeah, but it's not the Marauders. It's the group with Fancy Dan and those folks that I can't remember the name of, the Spider villain, the early Spider villains. That I can't remember the name of at this point, because they have a name and I'm seeing it right now, but it's not coming to me. Regardless, that's all my books. Kliqs of the week.
Oh, it's Ox, Fancy Dan, and
yes, that crew.
Yeah. Oh my God. Not
remember it either. Huh? Yeah.
Exactly. My brain is like short circuiting, so I'm like, oh my God. Enforcers.
There you go.
Because they were mob. Because there was implied that they were mob guys.
Right.
So.
Right.
All right. Now is it time for Kliqs of the week?
It is.
Kliqs of the week.
Von says, "Oh, those guys." Yeah. Potential, sir. What you got?
Oh, I'm pretty much decided on mine. But in terms of potentials, there were a few books out there that had the potential to be named Kliq of the Week from me. I think that just going in order, Absolute Wonder Woman #7 was pretty good. I think that One World Under Doom #3 was good. And the other books that we discussed were pretty good, but I think those are probably the top 2 candidates for Kliq of the Week. And I think I'm going to settle on Absolute Wonder Woman #7 before it gets to. I'm not going to let that particular decision linger. So for me, Kliq of the Week this week, Absolute Wonder Woman #7. I recommend this series. It's definitely worth it. It's worth it to read it from Jump. So if you have access to, what is it, DC Universe?
Infinite. Yeah, DC Infinite or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Then check that out. You should be able to pick up at least, maybe not the first issue, but at least a chunk of Absolute Wonder Woman at your local comic shop.
Right. I think probably would be on there, and I don't know because I'm not on that site, but it's probably like the first 3 or 4 is on there at this point. I probably could you could probably check that part out at the very least because you'd have to pay to actually read it. Either way, yeah, I've been hearing good things about Absolute Wonder Woman. I want to catch up on all of those joints. Speaking of, Absolute Martial Hunter came out this week, so I mean that's some out there for something. Yeah. Absolute Wonder Woman came out. Well, wait, did actual Wonder Woman proper come out this week also? Actually, yeah, it did. Wonder Woman 20 also came out, but yeah, we're talking about Absolute Wonder Woman. So
yes, Absolute Wonder Woman
for a distinction. For myself, Unfungal says I missed that issue. Yeah, it's okay. It's still there, sir. So for me, I think I'm going to keep it to the ones that I did like that. The Roadblock, G.I. Joe, Real American Heroes, Silent Mission. I don't know. I'm getting a kick out of those. Except that Jinx one is still kind of weird because of some timing thing, but it is what it is. One World Under Doom also, good. I did also enjoy. I did say Avengers was one of them. Not necessarily. Well, kind of partially for the diehard nature of it, but for a couple of little bits here and there. And I believe I also said New Champions #4 was G.I. Joe. Also G.I. Joe. Oh, sorry. Yes, definitely can't leave out G.I. Joe for this one because that was a really good issue this week, especially with everything it set up. But yeah, New Champions #4 is the last one to talk about that I'm putting in the list. And it's probably going to be out of either G.I. Joe #6 and New Champions #4, honestly, at this point. I gotta stop that because that's just going to give me more editing to do. I guess I like I said, I did very much enjoy that New Champions #4. The origin thing is interesting to me, but I am going to go with G.I. Joe #6. Because that whole thing was just top to bottom pretty good. And with that, folks, we are going to go into the news section. But first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order, with 10% off. And to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news as we do about this time. Von Gloom, do you have a physical pull list? I'm curious. Or do you have a list or even a digital list? I don't know. You can answer that at your leisure. But cinematic news as we do about this time. The official final trailer for the Thunderbolts, and they don't have the asterisk here, shame on them, is out. Of course, Thunderbolts comes out next week. Yes, next week.
Yes, next week. Movie protocol, but we'll talk more about that.
Exactly. We'll talk about that later on in the show. So yeah, if you haven't seen any trailers or just want to see one last trailer for the movie, then hey, it's out there for you. Next up.
All right. This is mildly silly. So this is a story that it has spoilers about Daredevil Born Again Season 1's finale. So let's see here. So a character, I'm saving this for the people. I'm keeping people who have not finished Daredevil Born Again yet in mind. Season 1 finale just aired a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly fan favorite character. That I think this is a bit of hyperbole here. A character in the series was basically killed off, whose name matched this particular comic book character, but whether or not this character played by this TV, portrayed by this TV role was the same, it's an adaptation, right? Always got to remember it's an adaptation. So, there's apparently a little bit of, a bit of a hubbub, and now, the writer who created this character is defending Marvel killing off this alleged fan favorite character in the Born Again finale.
So I'm just going to peck back at that for a second
back away.
Because I don't know what I'm going to say is I don't think they actually killed him off. I think they just knocked him out. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, granted, it was a hard enough hit that maybe that could have, but I just feels like it just knocked him out. Because, I mean, given how what happened, the character that did it would not have actually.
Right, he may not have delivered the killing blow.
Right. So I don't know if that's the case. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But outside of that, I'm like, hey, I'm sure you've created a character, you're gonna have a feeling about the way it's used, whether from other people or adaptation wise. There you go. Next up, though, Daredevil Born. You thought we were done with Daredevil stuff? Oh no! Daredevil Born Again showrunner addresses Defenders and Spider-Man in season 2. It's a lot of kind of blah 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 in a way, but here's the quote: "We're giving too much away." Excuse me. When you're working in what I would call the Hell's Kitchen corner of the MCU, those iconic characters are always in your mind. This quote comes from Dario Scartapane, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm going to butcher it. My apologies. Which the quote continues: "The thing is that, and this is kind of hard, I'm trying to thread a needle here. You want to bring in people in relationship and past figures in Matt's life because they help the story, particularly in terms of where Fisk has taken over the city. If you all recall from last week when we talked about this, we had questions about why some folks didn't show up, or why weren't the ones showing up as opposed to the people who did show up at the end of it. But regardless, So, and there's going to be resistance and a rebellion, so to speak, rising. So there's going to be people, vigilantes, superheroes that are involved. There has to be, because this is happening to the city. That said, you also want to create a complete organic story for that. So who comes in and why has to be beyond anything earned, which I guess makes some sense, but also feels like kind of like blah, blah, blah. Oh, Von Gloom brings up a point. That is right. You are right about that. I totally forgot about that part. Von Gloom, thank you. And yes, they are talking about the cop.
Right.
But I totally forgot about that part that happened after that. So yeah, you're right. Okay, no, fair enough. Anyway, next up.
Deader than dead. All right.
Yes.
Let's see here. Who is speaking here? So Daredevil Born Again showrunner Dario Scardapane has confirmed that there is now a split between Matt Murdock and his love interest this first season, Heather Glenn, heading into season 2.
In his mind, Agent 70's like, well, yeah.
I'm like, no kidding.
Yeah. To which I am too, but I'm like, yeah, give this and one doesn't even know what the other's into at this point. So yeah, of course it's going to be the case. But yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, if this is a little bit more just on that, sure, why not? Next up, Vincent D'Onofrio improvised a haunting Daredevil scream after running out of time on set, apparently. So let's see. This is from. Is this from the? Wait. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So this is from the finale. Apparently, D'Onofrio. Let's see. There was a mirror shot to what was happening to Muse. However, the shoot was running short on time, and they had to create creative with help from Wilson-faced actor Vincent D'Onofrio. Here's the quote: "We found this rage that he let loose, and he just blurts out the yell, and that was just in the moment, going with the feelings, being able to change that on the fly." So, yeah. Oh, it just wasn't from the finale. It was from something else that happened with him and another person that he was that he had some issues with. There you go. Next up.
Okay. So John Bernthal helped Tom Holland with Spider-Man audition tape. Not that he takes any kind of responsibility for it. So this is a decade later. John Bernthal is recounting how he and Tom Holland helped each other land their life-changing Marvel roles. So this is while they were working on their 2017 film Pilgrimage, and apparently Bernthal gave Tom Holland a note that he thinks landed Holland the role of Spider-Man. So they helped each other make the audition tapes for their respective roles. And the one thing that apparently Bernthal admits to is that he gave him a note saying, "Tom, maybe you should run up that wall and do a double backflip and then start the scene." And he was like, I can completely imagine Tom Holland saying this. "Yeah, you think I should do that? That's not too much." And Bernthal says, "I don't think any of these other fools are able to do that." And he, in fact, did that. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I didn't see that part about Bernthal's Jimmy Kimmel appearance, of which this is from, but he definitely was talking about the fact that they did each other's piece, and he was like, Bernthal was really going on about like, yeah, Tom Holland really makes you believe that he's Spider-Man and this and that and the other. I don't think the clip is attached to this article. Is probably not, but he was like that was really glowing remarks on Tom Holland, and he like the article says, he definitely wasn't trying to take responsibility for it, but he just kind of mentioned that the fact that they had did this movie and did their audition tapes and for their roles, and whatnot, and so on. So it was nice to see. Put it this way, I just happened upon it. But anyway, next up, Star Trek Celebration news. We got Star Wars. Star Wars Visions reveals season 3 release dates. Also the Ninth Jedi standalone series. So the next volume and third volume of Star Wars Vision is going to be on Disney Plus on October 29th of this year, 2025. And that, of course, came from Star Wars Celebration Tokyo, from which that just ended last week, as we talked about. And what about this Ninth Jedi thing? I think this is there'll be a spinoff of the standalone series of the Ninth Jedi, which will come out sometime in 2026, which comes from Star Wars Visions. There you go. Next up,
I'm gonna have to dig up that contact that I made who worked on Star Wars Visions.
Yes, we'll get him on the show. Yeah,
gonna have to dig up that contact. All right. Let's see here. Ahsoka Season 2 Star Wars Celebration trailer leaks and reveals a first look at a new Sith-like villain. So Dave Filoni brought Ahsoka Season 2 to Star Wars Celebration in Japan for a panel that was relatively light on news, but they did reveal that Rory McCann was announced as the new Balin Skull following Ray Stevenson's passing. So production's about to begin, right? It doesn't begin until next week, but they only were able to show off a concept trailer. And let's see here. The concept trailer establishes that Ahsoka Tano and Sabine Wren are racing against time to stop Skull from unleashing a powerful new threat, the Mortis gods or Abeloth, maybe?
Or apparently Chopper's got a big ass gun.
Okay.
Sure. Next up, Rosario Dawson had no idea Mark Hamill was returning as Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian until he walked on set. Apparently she thought it was Plo Koon. Okay, I don't know how you mistake the two. I guess I do know how you mistake two. But it was revealed. Oh, it had already been revealed that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau had used Jedi Master Plo Koon as a decoy when trying to hide Luke's cameo. But during a chat with Rosario Dawson, there was a story shared about how Dawson had one of the biggest surprises of her career because by accident, no one told her the truth about what was going on. So I was like, I don't know, but people disappear and then they come back, so maybe it's possible. And then Mark Hamill was on the set and surprised me. It was a whole thing. He even said, Plo Koon? That wouldn't even make sense. And I'm like, I know it didn't make sense because Plo Koon is dead. But I still had to think it made sense because I got the script and everything. So that was interesting. And then Filoni was like, I think we assumed you'd gotten told the right information. We were in it so much. So as he laughs. So yeah, there you go. Next up.
Alrighty, Star Wars Darth Maul animated series has been ordered by Disney Plus. Sam Witwer is set to return as the voice of Darth Maul. All right, this was announced at a Celebration, and see if there's any more news here. The new series is set after the events of the final season of the Clone Wars, with Maul rising again, to lead the underworld factions, according to StarWars.com. Okay.
Which, again, I guess, which makes sense given what we saw at the
You're
end.
all going to burn! We're all going to die!
Wait, what? Okay. Which
No, that's what he said. If I'm not mistaken, that's what he yells out to Sokatano at the the end of the recent Clone Wars, right?
I don't remember that, but okay. But I was going to say that given that after the Clone Wars, we see him at the end of Han Solo's movie for some odd reason. It stood the reason that he was still around, and we also saw him in Rebels, which
Right.
is where he meets his end. Spoiler alert. So between that, anyway, I guess I have never thought that character needed that much exposure, but I know people love them. So regardless, hey, guess what, folks? Relive the original Star Wars trilogy on a new streaming home for May the 4th. So apparently, it's going the original trilogy is going to be on Hulu. So yeah. And apparently, and then they talk about that Starfighter film that we talked about already. But yeah, starting May 1st of this year, the original Star Wars trilogy is going to be on Hulu. I am going to assume, and I don't think it says here, that it's going to be the special edition. It in fact does not say one way or the other. Well, it says original trilogy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they won't put the special editions out there. I would love to believe that it's going to be the theatrical version, since we know that copy's out there and it's going to be at a film festival coming this coming summer. So if that is the case and it is the original theatrical untouched theatrical release, that's awesome. I would actually, I mean, I have them, but I would actually sign up for Hulu to watch one. Okay, maybe not. That's taking a little far. Either way, or if somebody wanted to archive them for some reason, and instead of those special editions, I'm just saying, I ain't telling you what to do. Next up, though,
on the latest episode of the iHeartRadio's Rebels Rewatch podcast, Pod of Rebellion, hosts John Lee Brady, Vanessa Marshall, Tia Sircar, and Taylor Gray were joined by special guest Dante Basco, Rufio, and Basco discussed his experience with being a part of the Star Wars universe, and he also revealed that he originally auditioned for the character of Ezra Bridger. However, the role ultimately went to Taylor Gray instead.
that would have been an interesting change.
Yep. Have you listened to Pod of Rebellion at all? Because I hear commercials for it, and I wanted to mention it to you.
No, I've heard of it, but no, I have not.
Okay.
I might check it out at one of these days, actually, because I can't remember if I actually have it on. It's on Spotify, I assume, right?
iHeartRadio, yeah.
I know they have some of their stuff on there, yeah, but
Mm.
I don't. Yeah, it says available anywhere you stream the podcast, so I assume it's also going to be on Spotify based on that. So yeah, I don't know. I have not, but either way, Rufio. So I imagine Ezra Bridger sounded like Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and if you know the way he does that voice there, you know what I'm talking about. So
right.
That would be interesting, but also different than what we got. Would he still be as unlikable as he ended up being for us? Maybe. But either way, this is me, I guess. Star Trek Deep Space Nine's Armin Shimmerman names who he thinks was the very best actor, quote, on the show. And it's not who you think it is, actually. So it goes about who a bunch of named folks who's been on the show and turned in some great performances. But Mr. Shimmerman said that it was actually Sirach Lofton who played Jake, the teenage son of Avery Brooks' Captain Benjamin Sisko. So, and the quote is, "I've watched all of the episodes of our show over again, and I've come to the realization that the very best actor on our show was Sirach Lofton. That's not hyperbole. He was 14, 16, 18 when I was working with him, and I sort of didn't pay much attention to him as I should have when I was watching the shows. Now I'm agog at his acting work. It is extraordinary," he said. So I guess that's high praise coming from Quark. So, but cool. Next up,
Actor Paul Ben Victor is set for a key recurring role opposite Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre in HBO's upcoming drama series Lanterns, based on the Green Lantern comic. Ben Victor will play Anton, an extraterrestrial devoted to exposing the truth and exacting vengeance against those who wronged his people. Okay.
sure. I don't know if I assume this is their.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that might be. So.
Right. And this article is not really saying anything about that, but I guess you can look that up at your leisure, folks.
Yep.
Next up, though, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow begins to wrap filming as David Krumholtz shares new behind-the-scenes images. Man, you remember the days when BTS just stood for behind the scenes? Miss those days. But it says here that the film is set to hit theaters on June 26, 2026, of which we know. Let's see. Oppenheimer star Krumholtz plays Supergirl's father Zor-El in the film, posted a pair of images of his chair and his name and the character's name on one side and what may be the movie's logo on the other. In the caption, he thanked the cast and the crew, including Millie Alcock, who plays Supergirl, on-screen wife Emily Beecham, who plays Supergirl's mother Allura, director Craig Gillespie, and Gunn and Peter Safran and other folks, I guess, whatever. But to see, the film is set to get a preview of sorts with this summer's new Superman film, in which Alcock will reportedly have a cameo role alongside her cousin Kal-El. There you go. Next.
A Pacific Rim prequel series is now set for Prime Video from Amazon, MGM, and Legendary. So per the Hollywood Reporter, the Pacific Rim prequel series is helmed by Eric Heiserer through his Chronology banner as part of his overall first look TV deal with Legendary. Okay, so let's see. No details have been given as to what direction the Pacific Rim prequel series will go in, but let's see. This could be, quote unquote, Pacific Rim, could be Amazon's Monsterverse. Okay.
Yeah. Sure, I guess. I am going to take 1, 2, 3. Yes, the next 3 articles, real quick.
Okay.
So yeah, that Middle Earth one is yours. Amazon UA Scott Sturber in final negotiations to land Highlander rights. Henry Cavill to star, and Chad Stahelski is directing. So they're still doing the Highlander thing. Sounds like Henry Cavill is on board because he's a big nerd. God bless him. Yeah, there is that. Next up, The Matrix gets a new version that's coming to, I guess, coming back to the theater. So it says here that a trailer was released Tuesday for a new version of The Matrix that shows how the 1999 sci-fi action classic will be experienced in Cosm's shared reality venues starting in June. I have no idea what Cosm is, but it sounds like some VR, AR thing, I guess. I don't know. But the trailer, which is, I guess, attached, emphasized the immersive feel inside Cosm's location, especially their central feature, an LED dome 87 feet in diameter, excuse me. So, I mean, if anything is a bigger wide-ass screen, that's probably going to look real good on. So, I don't know if any of those places are around here. Probably not. Lastly, hey, do you want to buy a stock in the Matrix? You would want to buy Village Roadshow's stake in the Matrix. It'll cost you at least $417.5 million. If you got that kind of money that you can just burn on something like that, first of all, give some to us. Second of all, hey, go ahead with it. So apparently a bankruptcy court has set a baseline figure which came from Blade Runner 2049 co-producer Alcon Media Group for the price of Village Roadshow's library of 108 films, which of course includes The Matrix. And apparently the Ocean's franchises. So, which is probably 100 of those 108 films. I say jokingly. But, so yeah, there is that. So if you got like I said what I said. If you got that kind of money, give us some. Next up.
The recently released Middle-earth 6-film collection is on sale for an incredible price at both Amazon and Walmart. Launched on March 18th with an expensive $210 manufacturer-suggested retail price. The massive 30-disc 4K Blu-ray box set is discounted to only $94.88 at both retailers. That's a 55% discount. And it makes it substantially cheaper than the combined price of the 4K collections of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies. What you get here is that it includes all 6 Peter Jackson adaptations, the theatrical and extended cuts on 4K Blu-ray. Wow.
Mm-hmm. So the price that they have on here is not the price that is showing up on any of these other retailers. In fact, it's about $20 more. But still.
Yeah, it's probably because some people have taken advantage of it and they've hiked the price up accordingly.
Maybe, yeah. It's the link they have it on the site. I mean, on this article. So yeah, that's probably the case. I honestly almost pulled the trigger on it, despite the fact that I have the majority of those movies, with the exception of 2. I think I have the last 2. Actually, no. I think only. Maybe one.
I don't have any of the Hobbit movies. So.
I have at least one of them. I think I might have 2 of them, but I know I at least have one of them. And I think the other 2 Hobbit movies that I don't have. But I have the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings movies, definitely. So I don't have the theatrical versions because I remember I was like, I'm just going to wait because it don't make sense to me buying them twice like I did with the first one.
Yeah.
And then having to flip it. But hey, if you don't have any of those movies by now and you want the set, which is realistically, hey, that's for all you get in here, that's actually pretty good. I don't think it comes with digital versions of them, but if you're resourceful, you can archive them yourself. But also there's other versions that are also on sale for either the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit ones separately. And that apparently that anime that just came out, which I still haven't seen. So there you go. Sonic the Hedgehog spin-off movie is reportedly planned by Paramount. It's apparently that ship's still going. So let's see. Collectively, the Sonic the Hedgehog movies have grossed more than $1 billion combined at the box office. The series has proven to be a reliable one for the company, so it makes sense that Paramount is looking to expand on this success. While Shadow makes the most sense according to this article for this approach, it's possible that we will get a spinoff featuring Miles Tails Prower, probably Big the Cat, maybe, who knows. Tails actress Colleen O'Shaughnessy said she would love to appear in a movie starring the character, and also noted that an origin story for Tails would be amazing. Of course she would say that. That's more work for her, which I ain't mad at her for it. So yeah, it's possible they could see more Knuckles and other stuff that this article is speculating about. So there you go. Next, we go. No, we're still here. Keep next.
Right. So a Ghostbusters animated series is set to be featured at Annecy. Is that how it's pronounced?
I think I'm not
Annecy 2025. So Netflix is set to feature its upcoming Ghostbusters animated series at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival, taking place from June 8th to 14th, 2025 in Annecy, France. So the series will be highlighted during Netflix's animated series studio focus session on June 12th, alongside other anticipated titles like Dr. Seuss's Horton, Blue Eye Samurai Season 2, woo, and others. Let's see here. What's that?
And that's where he stops, not the Magic the Gathering, which I know.
And others. Let's see here.
Minecraft, Haunted Hotel.
Right, you can't get too excited about the reveal because it's worth noting that the studio focus session is part of Annecy's industry-only programming and won't be open to the general public.
Right. So, any news that comes out of there of any actual reality will come out of articles like this, I guess.
Right, it'll be a leak or release.
Right.
Or a press release.
Right. Speaking of, WB Animation Cartoon Network Hanna-Barbera set Annecy 2025 plans. Of course, we just talked about when the festival's coming on. It seems like, let's see, Get Jiro and Bat Fam are getting spotlighted. Let's see. Bat Fam is going to be a Prime Video series. It's a follow-up to Merry Little Batman. Let's see what else is here of note. Let's see. 25 years of Cartoon Network Studios with Jenny Tartakovsky and some other folks. Let's see. Hanna-Barbera panels. But outside of that, yeah, those are the only two that are so far, being things of things. Next up, we are going to go into manga news.
Transmute.
Alrighty, so Shonen Jump cancels a major series after only a year of publication. So not every Shonen Jump manga can dodge cancellation. So apparently, Astro Royale has ended. So this is a newcomer to Shueisha's outlet, and it's only been published for a year. The manga itself might not have been tearing up the charts, but this is a story by let's see here, the creator behind Tokyo Revengers.
Wiki. Speaking of anime, actually, a new anime crossover as we get into the comic book news is coming this summer. I've been seeing rumblings on this. Basically, Mad Cave is doing Speed Racer, and I think I believe there's going to be a Free Comic Book Day book. Yes, confirmed. So the first issue of Mad Cave's new anime universe will arrive next month for Free Comic Book Day on May 3rd. Along with sharing new covers for the comic, Mad Cave shared a breakdown of what anime fans can expect from the upcoming comic Speed Racer. Quote, Speed Racer lives for the thrill of the race, but on the underground circuit, the rules are anything goes. And it goes on from there. Let's see. Speed Racer will also receive a comic spin-off series, Speed Racer Tales from the Road, and written by David Pepose of Space Ghost fame and others, also Savage Avengers. Speed Racer #1 will arrive on July 31st, following the universe's debut as of aforementioned Free Comic Book Day book. Let's see, and I think that was it. Yes. Next up,
Mobile Suit Gundam Wing and Nano Block Pokemon are set for have been added to Free Comic Book Day on Saturday, May the 3rd. Okay, so Free Comic Book Day 2025 features a new Mobile Suit Gundam Wing comic for fans and newcomers alike. Let's see here. As well as Nano Block Pokemon toys, which join the Free Comic Book Day giveaways. Okay.
Oh, speaking of David Pepose, there's supposed to be Space Ghost is starting a new #1 soon. I didn't put that in the lineup, but there it is. Jerry Duggan and Jay Lee's This Ends Tonight from Image Comics coming in July, which also lets me remind you folks that, hey, July solicitations for various publishers are out. I believe Marvel's is not the only one that I had not seen since the last I checked. But hey, if you go to the solicitations section of the show notes, you can check out what's there if you are so interested in knowing what's coming up in July. But let's see, Jerry Duggan, Kevin Mao, Robert Wyndham, and Jay Lee and June Chung are launching their own comic book series called This Ends Tonight. It's from Image. It's Thelma and Louise meets Quentin Tarantino level action in the first issue that kicks off a trio of interconnected tales by all-star creators Duggan, Lee, Jun Chung, Kelvin Mao, and the people that I just mentioned. I don't know why they did that, but So yeah, and it goes on to talk about the synopsis of the story, which you can read for yourself in the show notes. Next up.
Alrighty, so Mad Cave Studios is bringing a mix of horror, political intrigue, and suspicion to paperback with the release of Beneath. Beneath was originally released as a Comixology original, and now Mad Cave has teamed up with showrunner and filmmaker Stephen S. DeKnight, artist Michael Gaydos, and letterer Tobin Recott to bring the story to a whole new audience. The new trade will hit stores on July 15th. And in this article, you can check out an exclusive preview of the book Beneath.
Man, remember Comixology? So good. Died so young. It's official. Godzilla's coming to Webtoon with the series you've been waiting for, apparently, according to this article from Screen Rant, which, hyperbole is all the way there. The official Godzilla website confirms that starting on April 25th, which is, okay, guess what? We're after midnight, so there you go. IDW Publishing will begin posting select stories from Godzilla and natural disasters on Webtoons. The critically acclaimed anthology series originally released in 2021, but Webtoon will be revisiting and uploading a select few tales that will be reformatted specifically for reading by scrolling on the platform's website and mobile app for iOS and Android. And then there's a following press release from IDW about it. So, hey, if that is something of interest to you, there you go. And that's also going to be a compendium, sounds like, of Godzilla and Natural Disasters, which collects 3 Godzilla series in one: Godzilla in Hell, Godzilla Rage Across Time, and Godzilla Legends. So, cool. Next up.
So, yeah, Marvel brought back a villain we haven't seen in years, and that villain tried to kill Godzilla. This is from Godzilla vs. Hulk #1 that we talked about the other week. And it's Dr. Demonicus. Even I recognize that guy. I was like, oh, snap, Demonicus.
Which weirdly reminds me of Dr. Demento from the radio, I believe is what his name was called. So, but either way, yeah, I did not. Oh, actually, I wasn't familiar with the person. So, cool. Next up, though, Spidey's most desperate battle begins in Amazing Spider-Man #7. So apparently this is a sneak peek from Marvel.com about the upcoming Amazing Spider-Man 7 and 8, which is a 2-parter. According to this Marvel article, it is sure to have fans talking as Spidey gets utterly demolished by Hellgate. Spoiler, I guess. A brutal takedown that marks only the beginning of the mysterious new supervillain's plans for Spidey. A plot that will continue to ramp up as the series approaches the milestone 975th issue later this year. Okay, cool. Next up.
All right, this July, you can experience Jonathan Hickman and Greg Capullo's Wolverine Revenge saga in Capullo's original pencils. In Wolverine Revenge, Red Band, Raw, black and white edition. So it's going to be publishing just the pencils, no color. So you'll get to see what all the pencils and inks look like. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, neat stuff. Moon Knight's milestone 250th issue delivers the biggest battle of Mark Spector's life, because it's not like he didn't just die not that long ago. To celebrate Moon Knight's 50th anniversary, as well as the character's 250th issue, July's Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu's #10 will be an epic oversized issue. Let's see. Joined by rising superstar artist Delmalia Pramanik. It's a landmark issue fans can afford to miss, as Mark Spector has a decisive showdown with a new supervillain, villain Achilles Fairchild. That's actually kind of a dope name. It's an explosive finale to the series' current arc and a startling beginning to what's next for the Midnight Mission. I need to catch up on that book. And that will go on sale July 16th. Next up.
As suspected, Imperial by Jonathan Hickman spins off a new cosmic Marvel line for 2025, right? So Imperial spins off and reshapes the galaxy with interlinked series. Nova and Star-Lord race to uncover the source of mysterious galactic leader assassinations. Hickman, Iban Coelho, and Vicentini revolutionize Marvel's cosmic storytelling with Imperial, and you can expect game-changing developments for Hulks, Black Panthers, and intergalactic rulers. Okay.
Imperial.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected it, and coming out of the X-Men hunt and what had been announced as the crux of the Imperial storyline. So, the Marvel Cosmic corner definitely needs some revitalization.
Right.
This might be a new. I was about to say this might be like a new way to reinvigorate it, because we haven't had a Guardians book in a long time. So the cosmic stuff has basically been Phoenix. So we'll see what comes of this.
If Van Gloom is still in the chat, this is not necessarily for him, but for him. I'm throwing this in before I get to the next story of the book, and I'll say this real quick by saying Fantastic Four Gargoyles crossover from Marvel, Disney, and Dynamite.
What?
Yes, exactly. Let's see. Discovered the thrilling Fantastic Four Gargoyles crossover coming in October 2025 from the people I just mentioned. Previewed the crossover in Dynamite's Gargoyles Demona #0 on Free Comic Book Day, May 3rd. So apparently, the Manhattan Clan is going to explore the Baxter Building and face foes like Annihilus, and witness the collaboration of Greg Weisman and original creators for this epic clan and family tale, according to this article. That's going to be funny. And there's some artwork in here. And it's done in this is definitely the Gargoyles the Gargoyles art style from the last book, or the last few books rather. So there you go. But the actual story that I'm going to get to is fan favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles characters return after 30-year absence. Apparently, and I don't know this character, Lotus Blossom, and Token Razor from TMNT Secret of the Ooze. Those two characters I do remember. And this is going to be in TMNT Saturday Morning Adventures Continued, of which one came out this week, but not the one they're talking about. The 25th issue. Yes, Von Gloom Weisman is involved. So, and he says he's sold. Talk about that last article that I just mentioned. So apparently there's an exclusive first look at Saturday Morning Adventures 25 by Eric Burnham and crew. And some unlettered pages. There you go. For your perusal. There you go. Next up.
All right. So recently, writer Grant Morrison revealed that they were working with the Big Two, and the Comic Book Couples Counseling podcast had the scoop on what project he's going to be focusing on. And on the podcast, Grant Morrison said that it's a Batman thing. Okay, no other details were revealed. So, yeah, Morrison's going to be coming back to Batman at some point.
Right. Also, that picture makes him look like Lex Luthor. And or possibly Professor X. It depends on whichever way you want to go for. Let's see. Darkseid's son just took out a shocking new god, apparently, and this is from that New Gods book. So I assume the son is well, no. Let me see. New Gods #5 sees them attack. Hold on, let me back up a second. Sorry. There's a new group called the Niktari, beings who seemingly exist to share the gift of oblivion to the world. They attack New Genesis and Apocalypse. And Highfather and crew are victims of this group. Apparently, Kraven, the son of Darkseid, is the one who takes somebody out. So, yeah. you can check that out if you're interested in it. I haven't read any of that New God stuff. Next up,
Mattel has announced 3 new products based off of the upcoming Superman movie that will be hitting store shelves in June and this fall. One of them is the Imaginext Superman Kaiju Clash. So it's a 3-inch Superman and one of the movie's villainous foes, Kaiju. Okay. It's a big monster.
original name.
Right. You also have the Imaginext Superman Justice Gang multi-pack. So it's not pictured here, but you get 6 characters from the movie with a mix of superheroes and supervillains. Okay, in 3-inch scale. The set includes Superman, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, Crypto, and the Kaiju. Okay.
And apparently there's a Superman Uno set.
Yes, I was gonna finish with that one. Yep.
Yeah, which that seemed more appealing than anything that was just said prior to.
Well, it depends on your age, you know. Right. Some some of these are super, age appropriate.
Right, but yeah, definitely for me the Uno set. Snake Eyes travels back to 1991 with new G.I. Joe classified figure. If you're watching the video version, you can see said figure right there. It is, let's see, the figure boasts a tactical blue and gray outfit and red goggles. Has 2 cantatas, a grappling hook, and a submachine gun, of course, and is available for pre-order on Hasbro Pulse. Will be releasing in October 2025 for $25. So there you go. Next up.
God, that was 1991. I bought that Snake Eyes on a lark because I was like, this is such a wacky a redesign that I wanted to have it. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's buried somewhere in the house or if I got rid of it or whatever, but it's such a wacky redesign.
Interesting.
I'd obviously aged very far out of G.I. Joe collecting, but it was such a weird design that I wanted to get it for myself.
Right.
Let's see. Hasbro brings Cobra's Monkey Wrench to the G.I. Joe Classified series. So Monkey Wrench, let's see here. This is Cobra's Explosive Dreadnought. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't recall this one either, but I'll take your word for it.
So yeah, he first appeared in the comics in issue number 60. Okay.
Which, if you're like me, probably where you fell off the book for a time, just like with the Transformers. Although I stayed on the Transformers book. Let me shut up. Anyway, Hasbro debuts exclusive G.I. Joe Cobra Pilot and Cobra Claw set. So let's see, the figure that's on pre-order right now on Hasbro Pulse for $54.99 with a release date of August 2025. Let's see, the Cobra Pilot will have swappable heads and army building potential according to this article. The Claw features a design upgrades and comes with attachable missiles for explosive play. If you're watching the video version, you can see that. Those are the gliders, which I did not know.
Yes, I was about to say, I did not know that was,
right.
I did not remember that was named the Claw.
Same. So if you
watch I'm sorry.
No, you good. If you're watching the video version, you can see said figures, which, I don't know, almost tempted, but no. I definitely don't remember this the pilot figure either, because I figured there was like the regular dudes usually.
Dude, yeah,
was piloting those things, and of course chasing Duke that one time. But
right, Cobra Commander used it too to plant the bomb in that opening sequence in the movie.
That is also true. Yes. I think I said it already, but $54.99 in August release. Next up.
Yeah, another version of the Lion version of Voltron, Defender of the Universe. This hits 3.0, so this is a retro toy edition release. So this stands at 10.6 inches. Features diecast elements. That's good, and transforms into the 5 Lion mechs. retaining classic charm. It comes with the signature line weapons, the blazing sword, spinning laser blade, and metallic sticker sheets. Sticker sheets. Oh, yeah. Pre-orders open soon for this Voltron. Let's look for pricing. Pricing. We're looking for pricing.
I don't believe there is one, actually.
Scroll. Did I miss it?
No, I don't think there is one.
Oh, okay.
Because it says pre-orders open soon, so I don't know.
Yeah, Robo-Do. Okay.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Hardak? Oh. Anyway, I'm pulling too many things for next week, and I need to stop. I don't know. I was going to say something about this. I don't really remember. Doesn't matter. Next up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon Shredder arrives from NECA. Let's see. Ultimate Shredder features a 7-inch scale. I'm going to actually take the next one as well. No, I'm not, because there's a reason why I'm not, and you'll thank me for it. Ultimate Shredder, let's see, includes 3 heads, hands, and TMNT episode-specific accessories. It's available at Target, or will be available at Target, and online for $35 through Holothon, which I've never heard of. If you're watching the video version, you can see the figure right there. Boom. Next up.
Alrighty, NECA unveils Krang / Shredder from TMNT Adventures by Archie Comics. It's a 7-inch figure. It comes with both Krang and Shredder heads, a bonsai tree, staff, and swappable hands. It'll be first released at Walmart with wider availability for pre-orders. Opening with a May 2025 release. Okay.
Yeah. To answer Von Gloom, who says I need a Shredhead HasLab figure. There's probably one coming. There has to be. That would be shocking if there wasn't. But yes, folks, Zero Company really is Star Wars XCOM, and it has the permadeath to do it. I still haven't watched the video for this, but yeah, apparently they're making a Star Wars XCOM game, and I'm kind of excited about this, more than I should be. So let's see. Bit Reactor's game director confirmed that Star Wars Zero Company has permadeath. Can't help but grin. In retrospect, it might be a bit odd for the article writer to get so psyched about the Shadow of Mortality, but this one choice says so much about the kind of game and what kind of Star Wars Zero Company is going to be. Apparently, if I'm looking at this image here, there's going to be folks that you know. That you're going to be using turn-based strategy wise, including looks like one Cassian Andor, if the picture is believed, and I'm guessing that's Boba Fett and not Jango. Either way, so yeah, you can get them killed if you mess around. So. Or if you play that way, because you don't necessarily have to play permadeath in these games. So there you go. Next up.
Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, has revealed more details of its mixed reality playset called Star Wars Beyond Victory for Meta Quest headsets. At Celebration 2025, ILM released a new video that shows some gameplay and gives a taste of the other mixed reality experiences. The experience revolves around pod racing. Okay. Now this is pod racing. Oh,
I was just about to say the exact same thing. Now, obviously, Star Wars Racer is out there and has been for quite some time, but it's not VR. And there are other Star Wars experiences in VR, but I guess, sure, this is the one they hadn't done yet. I don't think it has a date on it yet either, but yes, you can add it to your wish list if you want to. Hasbro celebrates Star Wars Andor Season 2 with Black Series figure. So that one particular figure from episode 1 that gave Cassian 5 minutes, about 30 seconds of problem. That's going to be a figure. Let's see. We got a Black Series Stormtrooper Jedha Patrol for $24.99. Both of these are for $24.99, actually, excuse me. And that's all they have here. So I guess, yeah. So those are the, if you're looking for more Stormtroopers for your collection, there you go. Last but not least. Should have taken this one, but
Transformers X NFL Helmet Series brings the robots in disguise to the football stadium. So, this is kind of a commentary on which teams are popular now and which teams are just not. And it sucks that the New York Football Giants are not represented amongst these first four Transformers / NFL helmets. We have the Green Bay Packers Tundra Prime, Kansas City Chiefs KC-59, a Dallas Cowboys Star Blitz, and a Pittsburgh Steelers Steel Smash. These are robots that turn into replicas. Oh, like just basically they turn into football helmets that you can put on your desk. That's pretty cool. But yeah, if your team isn't amongst those four, guess what? Your team probably is at the top of the draft that happened earlier today.
Or probably not, but maybe, who's the. Apparently, there is, as this article does say, there is a second wave that will include the Buffalo Bills. So, you got a chance. Y'all know I love me some Transformers, and y'all know I hate me some sports ball. So, this is conflicting for me. Very, very conflicting. And Tampa Bay's not in here, or neither is the Carolina Panthers. Not that I would care either way, but I would care a little more. I'm just saying. But hey, robot to helmet in 23 steps. That's something. And that's it, folks. That's the news that we have. Agent 70, I believe you have a little bit of show and tell.
Yeah, just a little bit of Toy Corner, folks. I'm going to drop the virtual background very quickly and just try to knock this out because it's late. So, we talked about this particular wave and I pre-ordered it. This is the mini comics Marvel Legends wave, right? And when I showed Roddykat in our pre-production meeting examples, he had kind of conveniently forgotten what made this wave very special for me. First up is the mini comic version and actual comic book version of Adam Warlock, right? I got this because, this is probably the most comic accurate Adam Warlock that we've gotten so far. The Warlocks that we've gotten up to this point really have not compared. Next up is a pretty comic accurate version of Miles Morales, Ultimate Miles Morales from the comic book version. So you can see here there is a very narrow eye slits for the mask, but this Miles is pretty detailed, and it looks like whatchamacallit, pegless joints.
If I didn't already have a Miles, I would probably have gotten that one.
Right. And to be perfectly honest, I considered not getting it for that reason because I have multiple Miles. They're both and they're pretty good already. Mm-hmm. So next up is the OG Banshee from his appearance in Giant Size X-Men #1. So I do have the other Banshee that we've gotten in Marvel Legends form, which is the X-Men 275 cover with where they're wearing the Xavier uniforms. But last but not least, folks, I talked about this on the show at some point. We never thought it would happen. We never thought it would, see the light of day. I talked about how Hasbro had the license. They just needed to work it out with Marvel. Guess what, folks? It finally came true. It actually happened, and now I have it in my possession. A ROM Space Knight Marvel Legends, a legitimate ROM Space Knight Marvel Legend, and it's glorious. It's awesome. Are you serious with me right now? This isn't a custom figure. It's an actual ROM Space Knight Marvel Legend. My goodness.
He was as giddy as a little schoolgirl. Not really, but I just wanted to make that quote.
I kid you not, folks. It's one of the most like jaw-dropping things that I've ever bought because I can't believe it actually happened.
And with that, folks, yeah, like I said, if it wasn't so late, he'd be way more excited than what he is. And believe me, he was very excited earlier. But we're gonna end this show off with our last ad read here.
Yes, our last ad read of the night. It's late. You know what we read when it's late. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Now remember, do it through our link. If you shop at Amazon often, bookmark the link or add it as your homepage so that you can help the CSPN every time you order. We thank you for your support. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
All right, folks, that brings us to the end of another show. And really quickly, so there's the changes we mentioned earlier. Well, one, Skype's going away at the beginning of next month, which is next week. So we won't be using Skype to record the show anymore. What does that mean to you? Not really much, but you're gonna have to bear with us because we will be kicking around a couple of other things, probably Teams, probably Discord. One of the two will make the cut. We'll see which one shakes out. But also next week is Thunderbolts asterisk, which means movie protocol, as we said earlier. So not only will we have movie protocol, but Agent 70. Well, again, Agent, blah, blah, gather it up. Agent 70 and I will be going on movie protocol, but Agent 70 it will be going out of town that weekend. So the show will either there'll be a show the week after that, or excuse me, that week, or maybe take a week off and let Agent 70 come back so we can both
and also giving us some time to maybe work out some of the kinks in our new communication setup.
Yeah, but unfortunately some of that can't happen unless we're that, but we're going to try to work some of that out this weekend so that'll be squared away. But there could be a show next week, me being solo. I will say that much. Depends on how things work out and depends on how many what the comics are looking like. Because if there's something out there that's like, well, I know he's gonna want to say something about this, and I'll just wait, or enough that'll warrant that, then I may just wait. Maybe not. We shall see. I will, be looking into that. That being said, I have been Roddykat. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Roddykat. You can follow me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky as that News Nerds Need, and CB Caps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Forgot about Threads earlier because I don't even think I mentioned it. And Blue Sky. You're going to find this show on the Coast of the Podcast Network. That's ESPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your it's getting late, folks. Podcast personal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page. But also, you can find us recording Thursday nights, mostly Thursday nights, with the exception of when we go on Movie Protocol, 9:30 Eastern, twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles, and youtube.com/The Kliq Nation. So, yeah, folks, we're out of here. We will see you either next week or week after that, but definitely stay tuned to our socials to know when the next show is going to happen. That being said, This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.